It is a very difficult situation for married people.
Okay, where is there a forum for people to go to on electronic stalking?
I would say the Yahoo forum titled MC Activism. Mike Charlie and then activism, and that's a Yahoo forum, Yahoo group, and that is as good a place to meet others as any. However, there is a website that has quite a few other networking opportunities, and that one is Freedom, FCHS. That's Freedom, Foxtrot Charlie Hotel Sierra .com. That one is .com.
Okay.
FreedomFCHS.com. That website has a number of networking opportunities, and there are nightly telephone conference calls as well.
Okay, let me ask you, with Laura, which is not her real name, but why would somebody come in her house and steal her stuff, rip up her stuff? I mean, what's the point of that? That doesn't seem to be doing anything that's going to create any kind of long-term change. What's the purpose?
Well, as I say, we can't explain why such mentally ill people do these things. All I can say is that...
Now, you're not talking about the person that's being attacked, the mentally ill person,
No, I'm talking about the people who are doing it. You have to be mentally ill to do these things.
Okay.
But, I mean, this is tangible stuff. One of the favorite things I love to do, by the way, and it's a common symptom if anybody else is having it, they love to come into your place when you're out and leave pennies around or crush cigarette butts out on the floor. Those are very common little things. They want
Was that you, Laura?
Pennies, yes. Yes, I've been finding pennies. I don't know where they come from. And I've been followed terribly. You know, just so many things that I haven't said. And the other thing, they tamper with your purified water. You have to protect your water if you go out and you use one of those big Berkeys. Unless I protect my water by...
How can you protect your water?
What you do is you put it in half-gallon mason jars, put it in a locked room when you leave, because if I don't do that, I get sick from the water. They do something to your filtered water when you're gone.
Now, there are people that are saying, wait a minute here, this sounds a little bit too strange. And the reason we're doing this, ladies and gentlemen, is I get calls all the time that people are being electronically monitored, and they sound very normal. They sound very real. And the question is this real or not? So we've asked somebody who studied it for 30 years and believes that she is electronically stalked. Now, does this just become an obsession, and all of a sudden, every time you see something out of place, it's because the bad guys did it? Eleanor?
It does for newer targets. When you've been in it for a decade or two, it simply becomes a chore, like taking out the trash. It's just something you have to work towards, which is generating public awareness.
All right. Laura, anything else you want to add?
I just feel sorry for anybody else out there, and I would like a snail mail address if I could, because I think anytime I've gone online and checked out the Power Hour or Alex or any other page, I checked up on Mark to see what he's doing. Every single time I get black helicopters over my house after I've done that.
Well, I've checked out all these websites, and I never get any black helicopters. I did one time. I have to take that back, one time in Houston, but I don't. A lot of people don't, but there must be some. Well, I don't know. Is there a snail mail address, or should they just mail it to the Power Hour and we'll forward it to you, Eleanor? What do you want to do?
Email is really the best way. These people they recruit technicians in all the utilities, so there is no way to keep any of your communications confidential. So we just do it right out in the open. Just send us an email.
All right. Thank you very much, Laura, for the phone call. And I can't imagine.
The email's on the site.
Okay, the email is on the site at raven1.net and at multivictimstalking.com. Or multi-stalking victims.
Stalker, ER. Multi-stalker victims.
Give it again. I messed it up too badly. Go ahead.
Multi-stalker victims with an S on the end, .org.
All right. And I just can't imagine what that would do to a marriage. I just cannot imagine.
A lot of them break up.
Yeah.
Well, and Joyce, let me give a third site too. This is really important because there are lots of well-meaning people who put up nonsensical information around the web, and if someone new to this lands on some of those sites or those articles, they're going to be convinced we're lunatics.
Okay.
So to help with this, I put up another site with credibility reviews for the most popular sites and articles, which people refer to others regarding this crime, and that site is creviews.net. That's Charlie, and then the word reviews with an S on the end, .net. And that's where to go if you find something on the web that doesn't look right to you. See if it's been reviewed there.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Let me go to Russ in Alabama. Russ, you're on the air with Eleanor White. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Greetings to both of you. It's so interesting, Joyce. I've proffered feedback on your show from time to time, and seems like we have a confluence of interests. Coincidentally, an old friend of mine, always just a rock-solid citizen, contacted me recently. He dropped out of the off the radar here for almost a couple of years, and his wife told me, well, he's suffering from depression, and I lost contact with him. Well, he has recontacted me because he very abruptly became a victim of exactly the scenarios that you and your guests now are describing. And I have been working with him. I've been able to help him a little bit, and I didn't know where to go to compare notes on this, but I am putting together a possible resource to defend against some of these attacks. I can give you a toll-free number if she thinks it's advisable here. But the question is, what does she know that can be done to defend against at least the electromagnetic part of this attack? And in the case that I'm working on, it's much more multidimensional than mere radiant electronics. So if you want a toll-free number,
let's not give a toll-free number out right now. Let me go back to Eleanor. Eleanor, your response to what he had to say.
Well, I'd like to say that although we have 5 weapons which can be purchased by anyone, there are apparently classified technologies in use as well, because what we find is that shielding only works to a certain extent. It's partially successful and or it's temporarily successful. So we're fairly confident that there are signals which are not in the public domain in use, and we don't know anything about what they might be. But it's not just a matter of sitting inside a steel box, because I tried that at home myself. I spent $3,000 on an expensive shielded enclosure, and it did almost nothing. So you want to be careful counseling people about conventional signals, because otherwise their resources may be spent on something that ultimately does not work.
All right. Thank you very much, Russ, for the phone call. Let's go to Mary in Kentucky. Mary, you're on the air with Eleanor White. Go ahead, please.
Hello. I was a professional person and was absolutely the victim of criminal stalking. In my case, it didn't take quite the form of what your guest described. It did take the form of such things that I was able to figure out how they were doing it, and it's not a secret if you know what the laws are, what people can get away with, in other words, what actually anyone can do. Anyone can, except in 3 or 4 states in the country, can put in a global positioning device in your car that they can read from long way away with a computer, and those are sold on the internet too. It's no mystery. The other thing is, in order to really drive somebody crazy, at least somebody who's susceptible to that, you have to have a network of people. And I believe there's that network, especially with the government the way it is. And let me remind people that the Soviet Union, when it was the Soviet Union, had that network in place. People were encouraged to tell on their neighbors and report right to the KGB. It was no secret. It was 1984. It's here now. And the people that were responsible for stalking me, it was initially the government of one of the states, because I was a quasi-state employee. I had to move. I've moved 4 times and have not been able to get completely away from it. It depends on where you live and the type of people living there and so on.
Well, do you think that moving away is going to be the answer? I mean, aren't they going to just, if they really are intent